And we are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Dialogues About Death Show with Chris Miller.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh my gosh, Chris, we have such a good show today. We're talking about such a transformational experience that you went through
Yeah.
when you went on a recent mission trip. This is going to be a little bit different of a show. You're really going to be sharing from your heart about this phenomenal experience that you went on. Before we get into the question, Chris, tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about like we're talking about how to trade your professional suit from Mission of Mercy.
Yeah.
Tell us how you got involved in these mission trips and where you went recently before I start asking you
Sure.
questions.
Sure. So that's why we were dark last month, is because last month I had the opportunity to go to Armenia. And this is about the fifth international trip that I've been on over the last 10 to 12 years. But it's been my third in the last 3 years. Ever since COVID, I've been able to do some international travel with my church, which is Crossroads Christian Church here in Corona, California. And this last month, we were able to go to Armenia, which is a new partner that our church has been with. It's a mission group called Triad, and they're a great organization that are ministering to unreached people groups around the world. And they were originally stationed in Nepal for over 25 years. And the Nepalis had found out all the wonderful things that they were doing of reaching out to people. And they found out that they didn't like that. And so they told them they had like 72 hours to pack their bags and leave the country, or else they were going to be persecuted. And so Jack, the gentleman that runs Triad, that started the organization almost 30 years ago, when he had his vision for Triad, he had his vision in Armenia. And so when they were being exiled from Nepal, he decided Armenia was the place to go back to, because it is right in the center of all these countries that are really suffering. And so now they've put up their organization there in Armenia, and they are now working with the surrounding countries on reaching people that have no knowledge of religion whatsoever. So it's just been a wonderful thing. And our church, Crossroads Christian Church, is partnering with them. And we were able to go out and spend 9 days there in Armenia and go over and outreach to people, outreach to the community, and just kind of get an information about their culture, and knowing why the Armenian people are the way they are, and how they outreach, and why Armenia is such a strategic point in the world for reaching the surrounding countries.
Wow. And that was something that we're going to talk about because they are very close to Iran. And
Yes.
you were there like during the conflict, like the beginnings of the conflict. So let's get right into the questions we have. The first one,
Yeah.
that the topic is the mask of your profession. So um, this is really the shift. So you're used to being the most composed person in the room at a funeral.
Yes.
How did you feel to step into a room where you were the one being asked to stand up and be vulnerable?
Yeah, that's and for me, my whole life, pretty much my whole life, I've been a funeral director, at least over the last 30 years, leading people, being solid for families in their time of loss and grief. And people always think of me as being an extroverted person and being out there, and it's not comfortable for me. Um, for me, it's I guess you could say it's my job, and so I put on my mask to be strong for those that are vulnerable in the funeral business. But for when I went on my mission trip and were asked to pray for people, and pray in different ways, a lot of people just pray privately to themselves, quietly, and you ask for prayer. Um, but we were asked to pray out loud. We were asked to put hands and pray for others. We were asked to pray with groups of people, individually, but also praying out loud simultaneously in groups. So prayer comes in all different forms. And for me, it's kind of really outside my comfort zone. And so that's another reason why I went on this mission trip, is to break down that barrier of fear about being vulnerable, and going out there and sharing the experiences, and hopefully the knowledge that I have with being strong in the funeral business, is trying to to portray that strength through prayer. And hopefully with the group of people I was with, our prayers as a group come together to let those people know that there's other people around the world looking out for their best interests too.
Wow, that's really powerful and
Yeah.
brave. I know you had other people. How many people were on the trip with you?
There were a total of 16 people on our trip, and our trip was broken down into two groups. It was a group. We had our worship team from Crossroads Go, and our worship team had 6 people, and then there were a group of 10 of us that were on the prayer team. So
Oh,
daily, there were 10 of us going out around the country and around the cities of Yerevan in Armenia, which is the capital city. We were there, and then the group of 6, our worship team, stayed back, and they wrote music and stuff in different languages and helped boost their worship team there in Armenia at Triad. They wrote songs and they translated them into different languages, and then we were able to perform a lot of those songs, our worship team, with their team too. So it was really cool.
wow, that is really cool.
Yeah,
I'm actually going to be sharing some photos later that you shared with me.
yeah,
I need to get them loaded up since I'm at a different workstation today. But I wanted to follow that up with the fact that there was a lot of tension in the area at the time.
yeah,
As this trip happened just 3 days before major bombings began, was
yeah,
there a moment of fear before you walked into that room with the Iranian group,
yeah,
or did the mercy part of the mission really take over?
yeah. I think just the conflict with the Americans and Iran had just started like 3 or 4 days prior to us leaving on our trip, and so there was a lot of tension, and we were in communication. The church was in communication with the mission team there, and the thing is, Armenia is like a sovereign country. There's no they're like protected. It's kind of like a Switzerland of that region. So there was no conflict within Armenia, even though there is conflict in Armenia amongst their own. But when it comes to other cultures, with the Iranian, the Assyrians, the Iraqis, the Russians, the Turkish people, they all surround Armenia. But for us, it was safe. And we didn't fly directly from the United States into Armenia. We had a layover in Germany before we went there. So we were coming actually in from Germany. So that was probably like it lowered the stress a little bit. I know for a fact, my friends and my family, they were deeply concerned about me going and our group going. And they said, you guys shouldn't be going right now. There's so much going on in the world. We didn't know what things were going on, but I would say it's in God's hands. And it's like there was a reason why we were going at this time, during this time. And so I had real peace and resolve over it. So I had no fear going there. I knew it was all going to be fine. I think the news over puffs everything up. It makes things really worse than what they are. Armenia is a wonderful country. The people were wonderful. The people that we met, the places that we went to visit, it was a wonderful experience. And when we went there, and we'll talk a little bit more here in a moment. The first day was kind of rough because it was a jet lag day because we had traveled for over 24 hours. And so the first day was kind of like, take it easy, don't do too much before we delve into the rest of the 6 or 7 days that we were there. But the first day that we were there, we went to an international Christian church, and this church is not an Armenian church; it's a Christian church. And Armenians say they're Christians, but they're more like Orthodox. It's a Armenian Orthodox church, so it's a little bit more like Catholicism or a Catholic church when it comes to being very liturgical. So we went to an international Christian church, and they welcome everybody from all around the world. And so when we were there that day, it just happened to be their church, and it was a Sunday evening. And the pastor, it was about a 2-hour service, and they did a lot of worship, and they did it in multiple languages, and it was pretty cool. And then the pastor gets up halfway through the service, and he likes to have everybody introduce themselves. There were probably about 200 to 300 people there, and he wanted to know if you were anywhere from outside of Armenia, to raise and introduce yourself. And so there were people from Iran, Iraq, Syria, Australia, Germany, South Korea, the UK, and then there was our whole group from America. And so as we went around, it was just really cool seeing all the different cultures from around the world coming as Christians coming together to this church and hearing a gospel message. And after everybody had introduced themselves, we our pastor had it on his heart there. He said, "You know what?" He goes, we all know what's going on in the world right now." And this was like 3 or 4 days into the bombing of Iran. And he goes, "I would like to have those Iranian people please come forward and stand in the middle aisle of the church." And there were about 8 to 9 Iranian people, and there were men and women and children. And the families, they came forward and they lined the center of the church. And everybody's like, "Wow, what's going on?" And then he said, "I'd like for all the American people and those people from California to please come forward and put your hands and pray for the Iranian people." I'm like, wow. And so the 16 of us got up and we spread ourselves amongst the rest of the group, and we were able to lay our hands on them. And the Iranian people were so grateful. They're like, "Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us." It was just it was really moving. And so we were able to pray for these individual people. And the gentleman I was able to pray over, he still had family in Iran. He hadn't been in contact with them. He didn't know if they were dead or alive or what was going on, if they'd been persecuted. And he said, "Thank you for being here." He goes, "Your country is giving our people an opportunity to rise." And he goes, "Thank you for being here and giving us the support." And they were very appreciative of the American people there. I thought, wow, this is such a twist, because you only hear all the things that you hear on the news, but here you hear it firsthand from people that are there that are just so appreciative and welcoming to us. And so we were able to pray for them, give them the assurance that we're behind them, and hopefully that their prayers will be answered with the safety of their family. So it was really a wow moment for just the first day. We had only been there for like 4 or 5 hours. We got in late. We slept for a couple hours, and then we didn't have even a half a day there, and we were already impacting people there with prayer and support. And it was just it really set the tone for the whole trip for the rest of the week.
That's wonderful. I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. I'm trying to get your pictures loaded up, because I really want you to be able to show people, not only how beautiful this area is, but some of the people that you were with. You kind of answered one of the questions I was going to ask you, because I think that was when we were talking about the show in prepping for it, you were talking about how everyone was so grateful.
Yeah.
And you would think that they would be angry that Americans bombed their country, but because they had been under a dictatorship basically for 47 years, and so many people were being murdered in the street and all these terrible things, they thought of Americans as coming in and saving them and
Yes.
helping them right the country to bring it back to their glory. Because you see pictures of what the area was like before,
Back
like
in the
47
70s.
years ago. It was
Yep.
this bountiful, prosperous
Yep.
place, right?
Yeah.
So this is a little bit off script since you already, excuse me, asked that question. What are some of the other things that they were saying about why they were grateful the Americans stepped in?
I think it's just giving them the opportunity, and I think they really feel like if they're having this opportunity, and I'm sure in the coming weeks we'll hopefully hear more from around the world of the people, the old regime, of the people that want their freedoms and their prosperity, and not to be they want to live free like Americans, and they've been so oppressed. And it's just they're just so grateful that they're having this opportunity, and they're coming together. They're organizing now, and I know that they're afraid for the families that are still left behind, and they may have to, I know that they're wanting to see if their families are still alive, and if they're not, to come out of Iran. But Iran is like, the borders are like locked down right now, so people are kind of stuck in there. So they're having to go ahead and just organize there, and so I wish them the best. I still continue to pray for them at night. I pray daily for the people of Iran and for their freedom and their prosperity. And I know that their prayers will come true here.
Wow. Wow. That Yeah, one. In fact, I'm like I said, I'm loading up these pictures. The group of you are standing in front of a variety of locations that
Yes.
really are biblical. I mean,
Yep.
it's absolutely amazing. So let me ask you the next question.
Sure.
You mentioned a very specific moment where the leader called out a stranger's back pain. As
Yeah.
someone who sees the physical realities of bodies every day,
Yeah.
what did that moment of spiritual healing look like to you?
Sure. So when we were at this Christian church, this international Christian church, the pastor there, uh, after we did our introductions in prayer, he was just kind of scanning the crowd. He was overlooking the crowd, and he goes, I want to reach out to someone here today. And I'm like, what's this guy talking about? He goes, I want to reach out to someone. He goes, I feel there's somebody that is dealing with a lot of pain. And I'm like, well, we all deal with pain. But he goes, this person has back pain, and it's just not in their back, but it's in like the lower right corner of their back, like above their hip. Like he was being really specific. And he goes, I feel that there's somebody in this room that really is hurting in there. They've had discomfort for a long time. He goes, is there anybody here? And on the far side of the room, there was this gentleman. He was about 3 or 4 rows from the stage, and he raises his hand. He goes, "Yeah." He was kind of timid. He didn't want to really reach out, but he goes, "Yeah, I think I'm that person." He goes, "I've got this pain on the right side of my back," and I was like, we were all sitting and we're all looking at each other at the church. Our co-people from the mission were like, "Wow, this." And so the gentleman asked. He goes, "Well, can you come down?" He goes, "I just want to pray over your body for healing and to remove the pain, and that you can have a good night's sleep and things like that." And so the guy came forward, and the pastor laid his hands on him. He goes, I wish your pain to subside, and that you could move freely, and that you can get some good sleep, and that your pain subsides. And it was just one of those, just like another wow. It's like, what is going on here? It's like, and some people have those special gifts. We all have spiritual gifts, and this pastor had a real spiritual gift. And so uh, it was amazing how he was able to reach out and to make a difference, and touch that one specific person too. So it was just it was really neat to see that. I go to church on Sundays, and our pastor will call up people and saying, "Hey, I know there's people having maybe hard times right now." He goes, "We're praying for you," and we never really call people out directly, but there are people that are always hurting, and they need to be recognized, because sometimes they don't want to come forward. But you know that there's people out there that are thinking of you if you are hurting, and if you have aches and pains, or if maybe you have heartache from a loss or something. It's like, we want you to know that you're not alone, and there's people out there praying for you. You might be unnamed or unknown today, but if you're listening to this, there's always prayer for you. There's people always praying for those that are hurting, praying for those that are sick, praying for those to get well. So I just want to let you know there, if you're listening today, and if you're hurting, if you have pain, if you have heartache, if you have loss, I'm thinking of you today. And I'm thinking of your prayer, and hopefully that you have healing and peace in whatever may be before you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think people sometimes don't remember there is such power in prayer. And when you have a community of people around you, and that seems to be always like a theme of the show,
Yeah.
is that you've always encouraged people to be more present in their community. And it may
Yeah.
be just in their immediate family, maybe their neighborhood, maybe it's the community at large, but it's people they have influence over, because at the end of the day, that's their legacy, right?
Yes.
Is
Yes.
having that effect. And so I'm so happy that you recognize that and are
Yeah.
calling it out. And there's people that are praying for you, the listener right now, that you don't even know.
That's
There's
right.
communities and local churches and people of faith that want what's best for you. And so
Absolutely.
if you ever do need extra prayer, I know the team at Thomas Miller Mortuary is um, always available to talk. You don't have to just call Thomas Miller if there's if someone has
That's right.
died.
That's right.
It's a place filled with people who are really doing sacred work every day.
We are.
And I've been so impressed, Chris, with your team. They are so available and so compassionate
Yes.
with their community members, that they go out into the community and people come to them. But it is a wonderful. And then speaking of, we have a few actually logging in. Kathy, good morning, Kathy.
Morning, Kathy.
Um,
I want to pray for Kathy. Kathy's been a little under the weather this morning, the last
oh,
couple of days. So Kathy and Christine over there at my Sierra location, they've both been a little ill. So I just want to let you know that I've been thinking, and hopefully you can get better over the weekend. I know we're coming into the weekend, that you can just get some rest and relaxation, and that you are on the way of healing, and that you all feel better so you can get back to work and serve the families that we do every day.
I love it. Yeah, the Riverside location is absolutely gorgeous. If you guys have never been to the La Sierra location in Riverside,
Yep.
it is just
Go
a
for a
beautiful.
tour. Yep.
Yes, have a tour. It's
Yep.
awesome.
Christine and
Um,
Kathy would love to give you a tour of the facility, show you all the wonderful amenities that we have there. If you're looking to have a memorial service or a celebration of life, we're there for you.
That's awesome. Kathy is grateful. So thank you. I'm so glad you're feeling better. Oh, and we also have Mitzi Sanchez
Morning,
on.
Mitzi.
Yay. And also we have someone, I don't recognize the name, but good morning, old Doc.
Old Doc.
Is that a nickname for
What?
you?
No, I hope not. I'm not. I'm not old, and I'm not a doctor. But good morning, old Doc. Welcome. Thanks for being on board.
I love it. All right. Well, let's get to the next question. I'm still trying to load up these pictures. If I have to, I'll put them on my phone and show you.
Okay.
Show them. But yeah, so just absolutely gorgeous. Okay. So the next question that we had was in regarding the politics versus the people. We
Yeah.
often hear a specific narrative about Iran in the news, and you saw something totally different. You saw gratitude and joy.
Yeah.
Transitioning back to our community, how do we bridge that gap in our own community?
Hmm. Well, I think it's just a stereotype because all people show love. I have two or three Iranian friends here in Corona, and they are just God loving people. Um, and they fled their country back in '79 because they didn't want to, and their families didn't want to be under the rule of those people that are just evil. And so they've had their freedoms today, and so they appreciate. They know the potential of what Iran has, and they're looking forward to it going back to the way it was back 45, 50 years ago. And so I would say, what you hear on the news is just a point of view, no matter what view you see, and they're always just trying to, I think, cause more upheaval and strife on the news, and you really don't hear the truth unless you go see it yourself, or you hear people that have actually lived through it. And being going to Armenia, I was able to see and hear and talk to people that lived in those surrounding countries that were able to get out and have the freedoms by living in Armenia until their country is taken back. And I know there's the 3 or 4 people that I know here in Corona that are Iranian that are looking forward to that day that they can go back to their country too, and help the people of that country, because they're wonderful people, they're brilliant people. And politics aside, you got to put the politics aside, because people are people, and we're here to show love and grace to everybody, no matter what our views are. And I believe that wholeheartedly, that all people were created to love, and we just need to show love. Put politics aside, and go out. And that's why I do the mission work that I do, because that's what the good Lord asks us to do, is to go out and help those that are underserved, help those that are in need, and we have plenty of need here in our community. I help our community out greatly with a lot of the wonderful organizations that we have here. But I think to go outside your comfort zone, to go out and do something outside your city, your state, or your country, and to help others too, helps bridge the gap of bringing love around the world and bringing it to others that may not realize it, because they only hear it on television. But when they see people from America come to their country, or when we see Iranian people come to America that want to help others, we see it and we hear it firsthand. And I think that's what makes the difference, and that's where the politics versus the other side. It means you got to hear it firsthand. You can't hear it and take your knowledge from the news and the internet and social media, because it's just polluted with a bunch of nonsense.
I agree. I agree. And so the fact that you were there obviously speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And it looks like I'm able to show some of the pictures.
Well, there we go.
Let me adjust this so we'll be able to see it better here. See if I can get this on the screen so we can see it better.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's our whole group. That's the whole, I think, all 16 of us there. And that was it's one of the last it's one of the only Roman temples that are still standing in Armenia. And we went to this place. This was like the king's summer palace back like 1,000 years ago. The Armenian king. I think this was like in the 7th century. So yeah, like yeah 2,000 years ago, or like 1,800 years ago. This was the summer palace. So he lived down in the palace, but when it got too hot and the weather was bad, he would come up. This was up in the mountains, and this was kind of like his weekend getaway. It's now, and back then, you know, the Romans had a lot of influence like several thousand years ago in that region. So that's why the architecture there is a little bit more of Roman columns and Roman style. And so, but we went there, we prayed, and what's happened there is we prayed for other cultures and other religions at this site. What they've done at this Roman temple that is standing there, they do back in the day. They did a lot of pagan worshiping there, and different like demonic things there. So we prayed for peace, and we prayed for Christianity. We prayed for all the different cultures that are just not nice and not Christ-like, and not, you know, just evil people. We prayed for peace and calm over them, and that they may see the light. And there are other cultures that do that. You know, they get broken down. There's people with addictions and stuff, and you go this way, and people get addicted because they've had traumas in their life, and they've either been put out on the street, or they've lost their jobs, or they've lost a family, and they turn to drug and alcohol, and they turn to bad things. And I pray that they get to a point where they just open up and turn to a person to help them. This is on our way there that day, and this is just we stopped on the side of the road just to stretch our legs. And this is just like a kind of a road stop area. And in the background, it's hard to see on that picture, but that was Mount Ararat is in the background behind me. But this was an unusual late spring. You know, here we were there in March, and it snowed a couple days. Typically, snow is already gone, and the springtime starts to come. But this year they had a late winter, so it's still a lot of snow on the ground. And you'll see there's a couple other pictures. We have a lot of snow. But it was wonderful. It was nice to actually, because I think when I was there, it was like 80 and 90 degrees here in California, which we've had a unusually hot spring. So here is this is in downtown Yerevan. That is their largest Armenian Orthodox church in the background there. And so we prayed for the Armenian people and the Armenian church when we were there. And this is where we prayed in a circle. If you go back to that picture while I'm still talking about it, there where our group got together and we prayed in a group, and we just prayed individually. And this was like in a public square outside the church, and there were several people then walking up to us during our prayers, and they were asking, "What are we doing?" And we said, "Well, we're praying for the people of Armenia." And some of the people walked up and say, "Would you pray for me?" And so a couple of ladies from our group, they went and they prayed with this group of ladies. There were 2 ladies, and then there was also a single man and his dog. He came walking by, and another couple of us went by and prayed for him. And we had a couple of people in our group that were Armenian too, so we were able to do a little translation. We prayed for them, so it was kind of cool. In this square, we were able to touch people that. It was just one of those timing things. We were there. We were praying for general things for the country. but people were walking up to us and they needed prayer. They saw that we were praying, and they wanted some additional prayer. So we were able to reach and touch those people too. And we told them our story, that we're from America and we're here just praying for the people and stuff. And so they were very grateful that we were there praying over their country. And let's see here. The next picture here, this is another, that's really small on my screen. Let me see here. Let me see if I can enlarge it a little bit here. That one here, another picture of Mount Ararat. This was just outside of another monastery. So Armenia has per capita some of the most monasteries in like the world. They've got hundreds of monasteries and churches. Most of them aren't very active anymore. Most of them are just kind of like museums and archaeological sites and stuff. But it's amazing, some of these beautiful churches and the stonework and the carvings that are done there. So this was another site on our way there to one of the sites of it was called Gregory the Illuminator. It was just outside the church that we went, where Gregory the Illuminator was put into a pit, and he was persecuted by the Armenians because he believed in Christianity before Christianity became the official country or religion of Armenia. So he was a Christian, and at the time they were Muslim. They were just other cultures, and then the king got sick, and he got a disease where he couldn't be healed, and he tried to get all the medical doctors to heal him at the time and stuff. And again, this was thousands of years ago, and they said, well, you got to talk to the guy in the pit. He can help you. And so they pulled him out of the pit, and he healed the king. And so by being so grateful that Gregory the Illuminator healed him, the king proclaimed Armenia to be a Christian country after that. And that's why it became a Christian country. And it's a Christian country around a bunch of Muslim countries. And so you have all these Muslim countries around there, but Armenia is in the center of it. And so that is one reason why Jack and Triad moved back to Armenia to do outreach, because they can use Armenia as their base and outreach to people from Lebanon, Syria, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, and then also Georgia and Turkey and Russia. All of those are all in the immediate area there. And they're building disciples now, and they're building missionaries there in Armenia, and they're going out to help support those surrounding countries. It's just a wonderful thing. I don't know. Do we have any more pictures, Mary? I can't remember if we had any more pictures.
Yes, we do.
Uh-oh. We're having some technical difficulties, I think, this morning. And I know our show is probably coming to an end here pretty soon. I know we've almost hit our time limit, but we might have one more question or two. I don't know.
We do. There you go. Sorry.
There we go. We're getting we're getting techie today. We're bringing in stuff, and we're just becoming so techie around here.
But it is interesting. Like when we were talking before, this is kind of what framed some of our questions, is that you really were in a country that was had a national. I didn't realize that there was that Christianity was the national religion.
Yes,
and that they were surrounded by people who let's just say didn't have their best interest in mind.
That is correct.
And what a blessing that you were able to step into that and help bring peace and kind of probably bring some shoulders out of their ears a little bit.
It's just support. I think they feel like they know that they're not alone now. You know,
Yes.
Sometimes some of these countries feel it's like, is there anybody out there helping us? And it's like, we're here for you. You know, America wants peace.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and we have peace through strength, unfortunately, but that's how it is. Sometimes somebody has to be the parent or the grown up in the room,
right,
and put the kids in timeout, and that's
right.
what we're doing. We're putting the kids in timeout so we can all get along.
That's a great way to say it, and hopefully they'll grow up and then take it on themselves, which is awesome.
That's right.
And again, bringing it back. And what I'll do, Chris, is that when you were actually there, you were sending me pictures and I was sharing
Yeah.
them on the story. So
Yeah.
if anybody ever follows us on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, we're always trying to share in our stories some up to date things behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and post all those pictures
Okay.
on your page so people can actually see them.
Perfect.
And then I'll get some of your stories and I'll kind of add it to them so they can kind of
Wonderful.
see that. But we do just have two more
Sure.
questions for you,
You
and then
bet.
we'll wrap up the show. But if someone feels, based on your experience of going on these mission trips, if someone is watching that really feels stuck in their professional suit, whether, as she said, whether a burger flipper or a CEO, what is the first
Yep.
step they can take to start their own mission of mercy? And again, it doesn't need to be around the world. We're all living in our
Sure.
own in our own mission field. So what would be the first step they can do to start their own mission of mercy?
I think you just need to have the passion or desire to help others, um, and to show love and to show support, no matter what it is. If it's helping veterans, if it's helping homeless, if it's helping those who are mentally ill, if it's helping people with food insecurities, there's plenty of organizations that are already out there. You don't have to create a new one. You could probably just reach out to your local chamber of commerce, either any local churches in your area. Also, look for the non-for-profits. Just hit non-for-profits in your town near me, and then type in like homeless veterans or anything whatever is your passion to helping people. You can help people right here in your own backyard, and that's where you would want to start. We started, my wife and I started years ago. We started just helping at the food pantry at Crossroads, just helping here locally. And then as things moved forward, we said, hey, we're helping locally, but let's help outside of our community too. And so I know that there was, during about 15, 20 years ago, there was some major hurricanes and then tornadoes in the Midwest and down south. And so our church helped and outreached, and we brought food and clothing for those locally here in the United States. And then I said, well, let's help further. And so then I got into mission trips. So it doesn't matter what the budget. It's not about how much money you give or put into it. It's time, and time is almost more precious than money. So if you carve out time in your day, if you carve out time in your schedule, if you take a personal day or you work on a Saturday or Sunday, like tomorrow, as a matter of fact, our Rotary Club is doing a community service event, and it's a health fair at Corona High School. And our Rotary Club is going out. I'm going to go out and volunteer tomorrow for 3 or 4 hours here locally back in my community. So it's just those things of giving back, wanting it in your heart to give back. And, when you do that, it kind of fulfills you. It makes you feel good when you can help others. It doesn't matter how much money you make and how secure you are. Sometimes the richest people are kind of poor in spirit because they have money, but then they have a sad heart. I think those people need to go out and give their time and show that they care by giving of themselves to others and helping at a food pantry, helping at any organization you want. Like I said, you don't have to start anything unless you find there's not a need in your area and you need to start something. Then maybe get a couple friends together and then start grassroots and ask for some volunteers. And then you can go to some other businesses in town and say, hey, this is what we want to start. Would you be willing to support us a little bit? And so you can get started with grassroots efforts of helping. But for me, to fulfill my need after my wife passed away, to fulfill her wishes, because she was always working in the food pantry. My thing in my life now that I'll be 60 here in a couple months is to do mission work, is to give back. I'm fulfilled. I've succeeded in everything I've wanted to do in my life, but now I want to give back above and beyond that. And I think that's what brings it full circle in your life. And if you could start earlier in life, starting and I know Crossroads has mission trips for their high schoolers. It's part of their high school curriculum, as they require the students to go out and do mission work. And they're doing mission work here in Corona, LA County. They've got a mission trip going to New York, and then they do international trips. So we do it locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. And so you got to find whatever's within your budget, within your time, and whatever your calling is. and your calling will change throughout life. You might help an organization for 2 or 3 years, and then you might change paths and find something else that is in need. And you just need to pray about it. You need to think about it. Just lay down and close your eyes and say, Lord, where do you want to put me today to help others? And you'll find it. It'll come to you. It'll come to you in a dream or a thought, or maybe in passing by. You might be out at the grocery store. You might be out in the community, and it might be a road sign or something out on the street that will just kind of click in your head, and you say, that's what I got to do. And so just pray and think about it, and it'll come to you. And then again, doing it is more fulfilling than anything. Is helping others and giving a little time of yourself. It is very fulfilling.
I love that. That's why I love working with you, Chris. You're so inspiring to me as well as our community. In fact, you kind of covered our last question. I was going to ask you, as a funeral director, you deal with legacy every day.
Yes.
And does mission work change how you want to be remembered? And obviously, it does.
It does. Yes, I would say it's just added that, you can say, the cherry on top. I've been able to. My family started a single funeral home, and I wanted to reach more people, and said, well, how can I do that? Because there's only so much death in the Corona, Norco, Inland Empire area. So I said, well, let me have a second location. So I opened up another location. Then it's like, more people want to be cremated. How can I help more people? So I opened up a crematory, so it helped more people. And then my other competitor decided to retire, and so I said, okay, I'll buy your place, and so I can help more people. And so from a funeral home that we were only doing like 200 to 250 funerals a year to helping over 800 families a year, I feel I fulfilled my dream of trying to help as many people in our community as possible. And now I'm trying to help people outside of our community by giving back. The Lord has blessed me with everything I've wanted to do through my business. And now I want to just give it back to others to hopefully inspire other people to do the same thing. So I challenge you all, if you get to a point in your life, is to get out there, to make a difference, to make the world a smaller place. Because as you come together and you do mission work outside of your community, you'll realize that mankind is here to help each other, to support each other, and to love one another. So I encourage you with those final words is to go out there to make a difference and support your local missions and support your local groups, and to show love. To show love is what it's all about.
I love that. That's a perfect note to end on. And I think it's so inspiring. So that's awesome. Okay, Chris, hang on for a minute. We're going to end the show, but I had a couple things for you. But until next time, in fact, I wanted to share when our next show is. We're going to be, again, this is the Dialogues About Death show. It's brought to you by Thomas Miller Mortuary and Crematory. And we have both the Corona Chapel as well as the La Sierra, which is out in Riverside. And Chris just mentioned about his competitor, Walker Family Funeral Services, right across from Corona Regional. Is his location as well. So you're being well taken care of. And again, funeral service isn't just about when you die. Like, there's so much help that your business helps with the grieving process. And that's why you have workshops. In fact, we have a workshop coming up in August, which will be here before we know it, August 30th at Walker. We're going to be doing a what to expect your first year, which is difficult. People don't know sometimes. I mean, nobody knows until you're hit with a loss. How to deal with it. And so we want to provide those tools. And we have so many resources for that. So please check our website out, call the office. We're here for you. We're not going to sell you anything. We just want to be of service, which is awesome. Again, this show today was all about how to trade your professional suit for a mission of mercy. And our next show is going to be next month. They'll be here again before we know it, May 15th. And I think we're going to be talking a little bit about personal losses, like because it's around Mother's Day. We're going to be talking about mothers and fathers and those relationships. But we'll announce that more. And I will obviously, as I said before, put up your pictures from your trip. So people can really look deep into them and see them and get a little bit of the story. So we'll talk a bit when we go offline. But again, thank you for joining us, everyone.
Also, I want to do a shout out to all my OGR members.
Oh, yes.
Yes, let's do that too. This next week, we are going to our 2026 Progress Conference. It's going to be in Louisville, Kentucky. So If you haven't signed up yet, there's still that opportunity to sign up. I think I'm going to be a panel speaker there. I think Mary's going to be there also.
Yes,
And so
yes.
we're both going to be at our OGR conference for 2026.
And OGR
So
stands for the International Order of the
the
Golden Rule.
Golden Rule. That's right.
You and
And
the others, right?
we're all independent family-owned funeral homes from around the United States, North America, and also like Philippines and New Zealand. We're from all over the world. We all come together to share our successes and our struggles with each other, to support each other.
So
So
powerful.
come on out and join the festivities and the fun in Louisville next week.
That's awesome. And you're going to the Derby, right? You're going a little
I'm
early?
going out a few days early. I'm going to have a couple personal days, so I'll be at the Kentucky Derby. So you might see me on television. Have a bright green jacket on Derby Day, so maybe you'll see me on the television.
Oh
Bright
my
green.
gosh. Well, we're looking for that. And
All
we'll have
righty,
to get some pictures of that to share.
you bet.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of the Dialogues About Death show, everyone. And we'll see you next month on May 15th.
Wonderful.
Until then, you have a blessed day and be a legacy in your own life and in
There
your
you go.
community and do good things.
Amen.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.